Welcome everyone to our virtual STEAM career panel. While you can't see me, my name is Jamie. I'm part of the college readiness team here at UWorld, and I'm excited to kick things off before our panelists take over. First, let's talk about STEAM, or science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. STEAM education is, at its heart, all about creative problem solving and critical thinking skills that are needed in the 21st century workforce. STEAM isn't about each discipline in isolation, rather a focus on learning across all five in a holistic way that allows you to use both sides of your brain, the creative and the logical, at the same time. So why will you need those skills, and why is STEAM education so important? STEAM is about innovation, and innovation is the key to solving the most critical problems of our time to ensure a healthy, sustainable future. We're entering a new industrial revolution. You need to be prepared for jobs that may not even exist yet. Technology and automation will take over repetitive tasks, and those fields that grow the most will require creativity, critical thinking, and the ability to solve new problems. STEAM doesn't just focus on teaching subject matter, but how to learn, how to ask questions, and how to experiment and how to create. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, STEM and STEAM-related occupations will see a lot of growth in the next 5 years compared to non-STEM occupations. We can expect to see 8% growth in STEAM jobs compared to only 3.4% for non-STEAM occupations. An estimated 821,000 STEAM job openings in the next 10 years. 22% growth in software development employment, and 15% growth across healthcare professions by 2029. So how does that impact you? Basically, much higher earning potential. A median pay for STEAM jobs of $87,000 a year compared to $40,000 for all other occupations. The average salary for all STEAM workers is $100,000 compared to non-STEM occupations at $40,000. The lifetime earnings of a computer science major is reported to be about $1.67 million, which is 40% more than the $1.19 million lifetime earnings of other college graduates. So a career in a STEAM field is not only fulfilling, it's lucrative. So what does that have to do with UWorld? Who even is UWorld? The short answer is that UWorld helps build potential. We help people at all stages of their academic and professional careers achieve their dreams. We started 20 years ago in a medical residence dorm room. Our founder was studying for his medical licensure exam and found study resources to be too expensive and not effective. So he started creating his own materials. He enlisted the help of his brother and his brother's roommate, who happened to be two engineers, to put his content online, and the rest, they say, is history. Now we've supported almost 3 million doctors, nurses, lawyers, accountants, and even high school students just like you. STEAM disciplines are at our core as an education technology company. We help prepare the next generation of STEM professionals. We're a company made up of experts. Many of our content authors still practice in their fields, and they are obsessed with quality. And as for the A in STEAM, our illustrators, animators, media teams, and graphic designers are the people that help learning be more fun. So now let's meet our UWorld panelists, who each represent an element of STEAM. I'm going to turn things over to our moderator, Syra Hayes, for the introductions and some questions that were sent in ahead of time. If you're watching live, please add your questions in the chat and we'll get to them when we can. All right, over to you, Syra.
Hi, I'm Syra Hayes, and I'm going to introduce everyone. For science, we have Dr. Drew Delino, who is a biochemist and biophysicist who leads our pre-health education chemistry team, creating exam prep content for the MCAT and AP exams. He helps connect science through technology, art, and education to make complex sciences easier to understand. For technology, we have Jonathan Chaco, who has a degree in design and now serves as the marketing operations manager at UWorld, overseeing the marketing technology that powers the company's marketing efforts. For engineering, we have Avinash Charakari, who has a master's degree in computer science and engineering and is a data engineer at UWorld responsible for designing and developing data processing systems and analytical reports. For art, we have Cassie Ruff, who has a BS in digital media and is a part of UWorld's talented team of graphic designers, creating both print and digital marketing materials to reach our audience and represent our brand. And for math, we have BJ Dunabari. First, he studied biology before getting a degree in economics. Now he writes content for our finance team, helping prepare people studying for the CFA exam. So I'll kick it off with some questions. First, for Drew and Cassie, what inspired you to pursue your career? Drew?
Well, so when I was younger, my parents wanted me to go into medicine. And so even from a young age, I always was learning and studying and focusing on the sciences, chemistry, biology, physics. And I realized when I was studying them that I actually had much more of a passion in the basic sciences, in studying how nature works, rather than the applied study of medicine, which of course is still very important. And so as I was going through college, I realized that was the focus that I wanted to pursue, is getting deeper into the mysteries behind our natural world. And I also realized during that time that I had a passion for teaching, because when I was studying for the tests with my other students in the science classes, we always had study sessions together. We always had, got together like in the dorm rooms to get ready before a test. And I really enjoyed the opportunity to help all of us together learn how the sciences worked and how we could understand what was going on, not just to memorize things for the test and then flush it, but to actually understand the mysteries behind our world. And so, yeah, it was just basically going through my education and realized that I had a passion for the actual content, not just to get an A, but to actually really understand what was going on, and helping other people have that same understanding. Yeah.
My story is quite different, but that's okay. That's why we're all here. I took a art class or a digital communication class in high school and really enjoyed it, but ultimately decided I wanted to be a nurse. That didn't work out. I realized that nursing wasn't going to be beneficial for my mental and emotional well-being, and decided that I was going to revert back to something I was a little bit more passionate about. But I was also passionate about food on the table. So I recognized that art wasn't going to be for me, but functional art would be for me, so that I could make a profit and I could have a roof over my head. But functional art really spoke to me and feels more meaningful, especially within UWorld, because I can help make innovative ideas easier to digest and easier to understand, because they're easier to see and sort of absorb. So definitely I found passion in communicating smart ideas in a beautiful way.
Great answers. Okay, for Avinash and Drew, who do you think is making the most innovative achievements in your field and why?
So I'm in the computer science field, and I'm sure everybody hears about AI today. And UWorld is making exceptional, changes and going. We have essay grading where we use AI to give a score to the answers that are given by the students. So incorporating AI into everything that we use every day, be it your smartphones, be it how you interact with UWorld content, and everything is AI is incorporated with AI. And some of the companies that are like big on AI is OpenAI, and we have NVIDIA making all the chips and everything. So but UWorld is also, incorporating and using the technology to be getting technology in the hands of students.
Yeah. So to follow up on that a little bit, artificial intelligence in sciences is also getting to be very important. Not just the artificial intelligence, but ML, the machine learning aspect of it. So my scientific background was I was in biophysics, biochemistry, specifically protein structure and structural biology. And recently, I think last year, the Nobel Prizes in medicine was in artificial intelligence and machine learning for things like AlphaFold, DeepMind, that are able to take the decades of data that we've gotten through actual wet science and just analyze it to be able to better predict protein structures and biomolecular structures just through in silico means or through computational artificial intelligence learning from the data that we already have. And so, yeah, I mean, I think artificial intelligence, machine learning is one of the biggest. I mean, there is controversy with generative AI in terms of releasing it as human-made content, but in terms of being able to analyze data and put data together and find patterns across big data that is very difficult to do just through regular human intelligence. I think that's where a lot of the scientific uses of it lie.
Great. Okay. Also for Drew and Cassie, what are some common misconceptions about your STEAM field and how can we change those perceptions?
I think a lot of times, especially in my industry, is that it's perceived to be extremely technical or only something that's strictly logical. And I think that a lot of times people don't see that there is a lot of fluidity between innovation and artistic and design aspects of things. Like, you aren't going to recognize an intelligent product or an intelligent idea unless it's presented in a way that's easy to digest and easy to comprehend. So having the art side of a STEAM field is very important because it's your job to communicate something effectively so that people are willing to listen.
Yeah. So in the sciences, I think there's a big misconception that there's a huge barrier, like an intellectual barrier to getting into it. People think that you have to be like a super genius to get into the scientific field, when really all you need is a passion for science. Yeah, sometimes it can help to, or sometimes it can be difficult to learn, but it's, as long as you have the curiosity to keep trying and to keep putting your best effort into it, that's what you need. A lot of the difficulty that people feel is coming from memorization, whereas really what I find the joy and what I find the beauty in science is in the relationships and having things come together without having to memorize all of the little details, but being able to put things together and seeing the bigger picture. Once I have, all the small details are there, but seeing the bigger picture helps you realize how they all fit in.
And BJ, what degrees or certifications are essential to your field, and how did your education prepare you for this role?
So I would say that if you're going to pursue, I pursued investment management. I was working at a trading firm before I joined and brought my talents to UWorld. And I would say that majors that provide a focus in mathematics. Math doesn't necessarily have to major in math. There's a lot of folks who do. That might not necessarily give you the kind of career exposure you want, but I studied economics as an undergrad, right? There's a lot of mathematical theory that goes into, the relationships or the theories that come out of economics. There's a strong mathematical foundation, for engineering. There's actually a strong mathematical foundation behind design, and there's a lot of computer-generated art from purely just like equations. So I think that there's a lot of degrees that give you the opportunity to get that type of exposure. A lot of people who work in the financial services industry have backgrounds in physics, have backgrounds in communications, have wide degree or wide variance in backgrounds, but really what it comes down to is, do you have the passion to learn, do you have the willingness and the ability to do so? And I mean, math is actually very intuitive. We all have a math side, a logical side of our brains that help us, kind of make sense of the world. So, there are a lot of degrees that can give you that type of exposure. So I wouldn't hold myself back.
That's really good. Really interesting. Jonathan, I'd actually like to hear from you on this too, because you pivoted from design into technology. And how did you get any certifications to help you go that direction?
Yeah, so I really appreciate what you said about the kind of the passion. But for myself to do design, I mean, I got an undergrad degree, a BA in graphic design, and I also received some certifications afterwards for web design, coding, programming, that sort of thing. But something that BJ said was the idea that, really having the desire to learn more, and something that I think you said as well, is that the curiosity is really important. So that curiosity will lead you into those degrees, those pursuits of certifications, and I think that's where you can really discover what certifications are beneficial for your career pursuit, is in those curiosity points, and where the overlap is between kind of the logical mind and the kind of maybe the artistic mind as well.
I think it's important to say too that it doesn't all have to happen at the same time. It's okay to realize that you've done your 4 years or something, and you can find something else that you're interested in, or something else that's applicable to where you want to be, and be open to furthering your education on top of the base that you've already set for yourself.
And would you guys say that having the undergraduate degrees first before you had certifications kind of helped you have a foundation to figure out the pathway that you wanted to head on?
Yeah, I would say that, obviously the undergraduate degree is going to be a first step, if you think of it that way. And if you see life as a learning journey, not just, college is the destination, and once I'm out of college, I'm done. If you can see life as a journey where learning is going to take place throughout, then college and honestly high school is really, those are just the building blocks, right? So if you think long term, especially because the careers of tomorrow, the careers that you guys are going to be, the jobs and roles that you guys are going to be competing for, those jobs are not being created yet. Those jobs don't even exist yet. We don't even understand how those jobs are going to come into fruition. But being able to solve that problem, the primary problem is, what job am I going to be doing? How am I going to contribute to this economy? Is going to come from being able to say, how do I marry my interests with my skills, and what am I willing to grow and develop in? And that's going to change over time. But if at every step of that journey you're able to, figure out, okay, I'm really good at this one thing. Let me maximize that in this phase in my journey.
Yeah.
And then when that next phase comes, life is a journey, it's a learning journey. Let me try to maximize that next phase. And if you think of it like building blocks, you might start off with, a more technical background, and then you layer on more creative pursuits, or you might start off with a more creative foundation, or for me, it was a very social foundation. Was not getting a lot of studying done in college. And then you layer on, the hard sciences, or in my case, professional designations that kind of align you to, to where your passions are taking you.
And just to build on the question of the foundation, for myself in undergrad, I changed majors basically 3 times. So I learned about myself through my studies, through exposure to other classes, through exposure to other peers, and seeing my strengths through my classes, through my classmates, that kind of stuff. So I changed my major, realizing, oh, this was the wrong choice for me. I have a strength here. Let me try it a little more. Okay, I have strength here, but not maybe I don't love this enough to go forward. So my passion's more here. So really, undergrad is foundational to get the degree, yes, but also in that time of school, expose myself to the classes, to the people who became lifelong friends, but also help me understand myself in relation to my passions and to my career.
Yeah, super interesting. Okay, for Avinash and Jonathan, what advice would you give to students who aren't sure what STEAM career path to follow?
I would suggest that's why we are here for, and that's the reason we are talking with you, is so that you can listen how a day in each of our jobs will be like, and see if that is exciting you. And if that really excites you, you should probably, speak with more industry experts in that particular area and see how you can contribute, like where your thing is, and actually trying and going and exploring and doing small projects, doing small internships or volunteering in any activity and see if that is something that you should go forward. And that's how I started, and that's what my recommendation is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I've mentioned that, I think, previously, but I grew up knowing that I liked figuring out how things worked, because I would take apart remote control cars and then build robots out of them. Although I do nothing with that like that now in my career, I realized that I just like discovering how things work. And I think, over the course of my high school and undergrad, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my career. I didn't think I would be a marketing operations manager for UWorld. That wasn't what I grew up dreaming of. Thought maybe I'll be a doctor, maybe I'll be a computer scientist, maybe I'll be an NBA player. I didn't know I was going to be at the time. But I learned more about myself. So I would say expose yourself to the other disciplines in STEAM, yes, but also like extracurriculars too, to understand more about yourself. I think self-awareness is a huge part of this, knowing what you like to do, pursue, and also being aware, like, what are you able to put hard work into? Because I think that helps define what you're able to excel at as well. I think all of us experience failure in the process of pursuing our degree at some point, and so you have to remember you're going to fail at some point, but it's important to try again, try the next thing.
Just as you say that, I broke so many TVs, mobile phones, and so many electronics, and now looking back, I look at it as taking things apart and learning how things work and putting it together. What really pushed me into computer science is figuring out things. And basically, how, as you said, taking out the RC car, using the motors to build something else. That's basically what I did with all TVs and stuff. And that's how you would learn. Yeah.
Be curious. I think that's the lesson there.
Yeah. And I will say this, Jonathan does do that a lot for me. Like, I give him things to design that are really hard, and he figures out the hard coding behind it a lot. So even though he says he doesn't do that a lot, he does it a lot for me.
Even if it's not tangible.
It's coding, and it's the same kind of mindset. It's the willingness to take things apart and break things down and say yes to a creative challenge instead of saying, ugh, it's too hard, I don't want to do that. So that's a really great mindset to have when you're approaching any kind of STEAM field, I think. Okay, next question for Drew and Cassie. What skills or subjects from high school were the most helpful in preparing for your career?
For me, honestly, I draw on a lot of the subjects I took in high school. I mean, even just English for copywriting, InDesign, math a lot to figure out, and geometry to figure out where things play well on a layout. I also really enjoyed or really found useful like logistics classes, because I do have my own business apart from UWorld, and sales classes. So those kinds of things have really helped me have more of like a rounded education, and it helped me figure out what I wanted to do later on in my career. I've shifted a lot. I started in nursing, I think I mentioned, and then I worked in the wedding industry for 13 years, and now I'm here. And so definitely doing extracurriculars and allowing myself to work within different subjects really has been super helpful for me, even in a design career, because you don't understand how much plays toward being a well-rounded just employee in general, because it makes you a lot more hireable and it makes you a lot less fireable.
We all know with Luca, everyone's fireable.
So in my field, obviously, the natural sciences were very helpful. But besides that, computer science was something that was very helpful in getting my degree, and is still helpful now, because sometimes I have to use some of that, soft coding skills. I'm not as talented as some of the other gentlemen here, but I still use some of that skill here, even at UWorld, to like analyze data or to help out with some technical issue that we're having. What else? Something that I didn't actually take in high school, but I kind of wish I did, because I think it would have been helpful, was statistics and other more mathematics. I did take calculus, but specifically in science, it's statistics and being able to analyze data and see what's statistically significant or not. That's something that, it would have been great to have a more formal background in when I was even in the high school age. And then arts was always very grounding. I didn't do the visual arts, but I did fine arts with music. And that was always something that helped keep me balanced and
Same.
grounded.
Yeah, I played the cello.
Oh, yeah.
It's been really helpful these days.
Yeah. I played the clarinet in band, and one of so Elizabeth in animation, she's been trying to get me to join the community band here in Irving.
That's fun.
That's fun. See, and those kinds of things, you never know who you're going to meet.
Yeah.
And it's a lot about who you know. And it's really helpful. Those kinds of things when you're networking, which networking is very, very important, which I'm sure we'll get to soon. But having kind of those different viewpoints, or being a well-rounded student, or taking those extracurriculars is going to put you in positions to meet people that you didn't know could help you in your career and in the future, even if it is playing the clarinet and you're in science.
Okay, again for Avinash and Jonathan, what advice would you give for moving up in a STEAM career? Are there specific strategies that worked for you?
Yeah, so I say for myself, a few things in the pursuit of, I guess, progressing in your career is, when you get networking is one thing. So networking starts as young as you can talk. Like, it starts that young, because people who I knew growing up, I still talk with today about professional things. And then in college, you meet people. In high school, you come across people. So networking is a huge part of it, actually. Again, I mentioned that, knowing yourself through your friendships, that kind of stuff is a huge part of it. Also, the first job I had a great boss. And I can't say enough about having a good boss who wants the best for you. And so that person, pushed me to learn more and in certain projects that I might not have tried myself. But he saw in me that, I think you can do this, so try this project out. So having great bosses, you can't plan for that. But if you find one, you should really invest in that relationship because they'll push you in your career. Additionally, I got some great advice when I was younger about the idea of a board of directors. So people who are constantly willing to evaluate your career, your skill set, your abilities, and give you advice about ways you can adjust your career and things you can pursue, and are kind of advising you in your career as well. Because you know yourself, but you also are myopic in how you see things oftentimes. So having people who are professional, who are further in their career than you are, or had different experiences, they can give you feedback and advice about what you're doing, what you're not doing, things to consider. That also builds relationships too for your next job or for something else you want to pursue. So I would think about the idea of people who are in places you want to be or things that you think you might want to pursue as you get older, and try and get to know them and learn from them things that they did, ways that they failed, ways that they learned. That's one avenue. And then again, I think investing in the people around you who, colleagues, bosses, or whatever it is, that can be mentors or that can really speak and highlight your strengths and abilities is something that you can continue to learn from. And I think you can find different projects that maybe aren't part of your core job role or things that are part of your core major, that you can hop into other projects, that kind of thing, that help you understand more about what your career could be.
I agree with everything Jonathan has said, and to add to that is to have a great friend circle, because with people who have the same interests, they kind of keep pushing you forward even when sometimes you are a little laid back. And sometimes if I want to do a project and I might not have all the skills to complete that project, and if I have friends who can contribute a different skill set, and as a team we go forward and basically accomplish the new project, and I'll also learn new skill set. So in STEAM, I would suggest is anything basic curiosity. It's never ending. It should excite you anytime you want to learn something new, and that's what you primarily need in STEAM.
Okay, for BJ, what do you wish you had known about your field when you were in high school?
I honestly wish I knew the different ways to arrive at that role, at that position, at that point. In high school, I didn't have a very strong conception of the financial services world, investment management, portfolio management, asset management. I had no idea that world even existed. And all I knew is there's a bank down the street, and some of my money got saved there. Not a lot of it, but some of it. And so like I think one of the, especially in a very fast-moving world, there is keeping your ear to the ground and just being diligent is one important part of it, but that's likely not going to be enough, right? Learning from old heads like us might not be very beneficial, honestly, because the future is so uncertain. But there has to be something to be said about being proactive and effectively networking with your peer group and even with folks in the industry. And you're likely going to find out or learn about things as early as in high school, because you can take summer camps, or you can go to weekend either trips or planned school trips that kind of give you a little bit of exposure. But there's something to be said about being proactive and being curious, and don't treat it like work. Treat it like play. Treat it like fun, and it will be. It's an adventure, and if you think of it like that, then you're more likely to do it, and you're more likely to enjoy it, and you're more likely to probably learn something new about either a field you want to get into, or learning about a field which you have the skill sets for to excel in, and you just might not have known as much about. And that's kind of how I kind of fell into finance.
Okay, for Cassie and Jonathan, how important are internships, volunteering, or extracurricular activities in getting started in STEAM?
So important. I think that a lot of my knowledge and education happened through work experience. And I understand that unpaid internships and volunteering is not always an option for everybody. It wasn't always an option for me. I've had a job since I was 14. And regardless of what you're doing, work experience is so valuable. I worked in a frozen yogurt shop for 3 years, but I still built so many soft skills with that. I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to have conversations. I learned how to lead people. I learned how to communicate, and I learned how to figure out how to communicate other people's ideas, even just in an environment that was serving frozen yogurt, which seems silly, but those skills are so important. And even if you aren't doing something actively in the field that you want to be in, just actively working or volunteering or talking to people is going to further your career potential so much, because you'll have those skills to be able to network when you get the opportunities, or to be able to take those volunteer positions when you get the opportunities. And you're also going to interview so much better when you are able to take an internship, or when you're able to, I don't know if they still do college interviews these days? Is that still a thing?
Some of them do. Yeah.
Some of them do?
Some, it's rare, but some.
You can't get a job if you can't interview. And those skills are so important. So even if you aren't building technical skills, those soft skills are so important as well, so that you can actively pursue your career, and you can do it yourself. You can drive that. Nothing about your personality is going to get you a technical job unless you are building those soft skills, or if you're getting, in my job, my portfolio mostly got me this job. However, if I couldn't interview and work with a team, I definitely would not have gotten it, especially at UWorld, because we are so team-oriented and we all work together so closely, that those skills and being able to just do this is very important. I'm not sitting here designing on a computer right now. I'm talking to you guys. I'm talking to the team. So I think that those things, even if you aren't able to actively have an unpaid internship or a volunteer position, just work experience is so valuable.
Yeah, I can't really add much to that, honestly. But I will just say, the idea of volunteering is just the whole idea of, and extracurriculars is really exposing yourself to more opportunities. and getting to know more about the world around you, and I think in the same time learning more about yourself. So extracurriculars, music, sports, other after school activities, those things. Yes, you network. Yes, you learn more about just at different parts of yourself, which I think is just invaluable because that prepares you for the various things in life, just like job interviews are. Also in volunteering, I think we think of volunteering for a skill or job you want to have, but also volunteering for a cause you care about. The idea of growing your heart and mind and for people around the world or things around the world is very underrated, I think, when talking about STEAM. And I think you bring all those things you experience, however old you are, into your career. And those experiences, those problems you see, those people you meet along the way, those situations help you problem solve, help you tell better stories about yourself and about ways you want to improve the world as well. So don't negate those opportunities that aren't tied directly to STEAM or to a career, because really growing your heart and mind for the people in the world around you is so important.
That's a really good answer. I know a lot of kids out there think that they've got to have the perfect set of things, a checklist of things on their resume or on their job, or not job application, or college applications. But what Jonathan and Cassie both said are really, really important. Like, you have to pursue who you are and learning who you are, because you might be thinking, I'm going to go into this major, but just as you've heard from everyone, there's a chance you could pivot. So be prepared and prepare yourself to be relatable to a lot of different people. That will make you more appealing to colleges than anything else. Right, I have a few more questions for y'all. For Avinash and Cassie, are there opportunities to enter your field without a traditional four-year college degree?
Okay, I'll go first. Computer science is so broad that some fields require specialization and some fields do not. Take, for example, data analysis and things. You would probably could take courses online. You could probably complete them in 2 to 3 months and you would be able to get a decent job. But the more skills you add on top of the skills that you currently have, they do require some specialization degrees and everything. But to start with, you would probably not require a 4-year degree.
Same thing for graphic design. I found a lot of value in my 40-year degree, but there are plenty of 2-year degree options out there for graphic design. There are a lot of just courses you can take to learn the basic skills and the basic structure of design and design principles. That's the phrase I was looking for, which is valuable, and you can definitely do the work. However, I found a lot of value in the other courses that I was able to take within my degree, because I learned things like logistics, I learned sales, I learned management within design or within a creative field. I learned a lot about, so my focus is in print production. So I took a course where the only thing that we did was tour different large print facilities in the area, and I got to see a lot of different like production level sort of things within the business that I wanted to go into. And without having, I think we visited 8 different facilities that semester. Without having 8 different internships, I never would have seen the behind the scenes of those. And that class really helped me learn the practicality behind what I was learning, which is so important. I mean, job experience is definitely important, but if you can find something that allows you those opportunities that you don't usually get on your own, unless you're annoying, I guess, and knocking on people's doors. That's not annoying. That's smart. But there were so many things for me that I valued within my education that wouldn't have necessarily come to my mind had I just been looking to be strictly a graphic designer that was focused on a singular thing.
And doing multiple projects actually gave me more skills, because as you are trying to solve a problem, you encounter small things that you might not know, and you gain more valuable skills doing multiple projects, and those really add up when you put them on your resume. And what I observed is, as people hire, those are really something that people look for when they're hiring people.
For Jonathan and Cassie, how do you stay up to date with new technology and advancements in your area?
Yeah, so in the area where I work, there's a few ways I do that. One is I'm a part of a lot of professional groups. So people who have my job title, my job role. We talk to each other about what we're doing every day. Things we're using, the skills we're using, skills we're struggling to use, things are going on in our company that we need to problems we need to try and solve. So talk to a lot of people who are in my profession to learn what they're using for their job. And oftentimes I hear about technology I haven't heard of, or I saw it before but I didn't want to risk trying it. And then they encourage me to give it a shot because it's working for them. So talking to peers is one area. A platform like LinkedIn is actually really great. I again follow people across various skill sets, various professions, but they post a lot of content and ideas around technology, things to use. So I learn a lot there. And the other areas, I'll actually look at other jobs posted that are my same job title, because they talk about all the technology they use at their company, talk about the process that they're using at their company, things they're trying to solve at their company. I'm like, oh, I should consider learning that thing, or that would be beneficial for our company or for my job role. So those are the three main areas where I see and learn about new technology.
For me, I'm lucky that the software that I typically use is very driven in making sure that we keep using it. So they put out a lot of content, educational content, to make sure that we stay up to date on any updates or any improvements or any efficiencies that they create within the software. So I keep up to date on those. And then also, just like Jonathan, a lot of social media just to get inspiration. And there's a lot of people that have more information than I do, and I'm always willing to learn from them. And the great thing about social media is people keep it short. So it's easy to learn a lot in a short amount of time. But yeah, I mean, seminars sometimes my field especially changes a lot. There's always something new out there. Obviously, AI has contributed to that a lot. Generative AI is questionable for me, but there are a lot of positive uses for it, and it makes my job more efficient. I can be faster and I can do better because I have a lot more perspectives. And so just honestly doing the research, staying online, staying active within the design community. I also am a part of groups and message boards that are designers, and seeing what people are using and what people are bringing to the table. Also having a lot more, that helps with a lot of diversity too, because you get to see so many different perspectives and from different cultures. The internet is a magical thing, because I can see somebody's designs in Europe or Africa or Asia, and I can apply them to my work as well. So definitely staying online chronically, and making sure that I keep up with software updates and the things that corporations put out for our free use.
I think that's a great tip. Being online, we all know we're all going to do it. I mean, we're all going to be online, so making it a little bit productive once in a while, and looking for these kind of skill sets. I think that's really great tips. Okay, so these last three questions that I have, and I see already that we've gotten some questions from y'all, so keep them coming. We'll answer as many as we can. But these last three I'm going to ask to all of y'all. What one piece of advice would you give to your high school self? We'll start with Drew.
I would just say be curious. Take as many electives as you can, as you heard from all of us, basically. We all sort of pivoted at one point or another in terms of what we thought our career goal was going to be. So yeah, just take as many electives as you can. If there's something piques your curiosity, just look into it more, see what ignites your passion, because it will probably change over the years. And you don't want to make a long-term decision before you have all the information that you can get.
BJ?
I would honestly say, take more chances. I don't think I took enough chances. I don't think I sold myself short. I didn't give myself enough credit. I felt like good was good enough. Good isn't good enough. So take those chances. Roll the dice. Even if you don't have enough information, take it, and at least you'll learn. That's always a good positive.
I would say sometimes when you're definitely take more electives, and I personally feel it's not just to tell you what you like, it's also to tell you what you don't like and what you don't enjoy working on. So the the broader that you think, you understand, where you like to be in and where you don't want to be in. So experiment, fail, stand up, and try again. That's what my best advice would you.
Are you gonna answer?
Oh, me?
I'm kidding. My answer is don't subscribe to imposter syndrome. It's not a thing. Everybody starts somewhere. Everybody starts with the basic level of knowledge or skills. Everybody is at a different point in their careers. And imposter syndrome is not worth your time. It's not worth the mental gymnastics to get through it. You are going to, as long as you push yourself to the best of your ability, you're going to make it, and you're going to be better than half the people in your industry. So tell your brain to stop.
Well, great advice. I would just say, with all the things that they've all said, be kind along the way. Everyone starts at zero at some point, and that could be you now, but a year later, your friend's also at zero. Be kind, teach, and be helpful along the way.
Great answers. Okay, Cassie, since you called me out, I will answer yours. So my one piece of advice that I'd give to my high school self is as long as you are in a safe space at home, if you feel safe at home, don't be afraid to have a hard conversation with your parents if the direction that they envision for you is different from what you are really, truly passionate about. I see a lot online, a lot of kids, especially from people of my cultural community, being afraid of how to please their parents or their aunts and uncles and their family and their community. And it's your life. And you shouldn't have to get to be my age to realize it's your life and then have a midlife crisis. You can have a hard conversation when you're young and live your life from the get-go. So don't be afraid of it. Okay, so next question. I'm going to combine this with one that we got from the audience. What should I be doing now in high school to prepare for a career in STEAM? And do I need to join any specific after-school programs? And we'll start with you, Jonathan.
To address the question of after-school programs, there's none that come to mind for myself, although I know there's a lot of like math clubs and chess clubs, that kind of stuff that I know people benefit from. But for myself, it was really actually the sports and music that really helped me a lot. And then as far as things to do in high school to prepare myself for STEAM, I really was exposing myself to a variety of topics. And really the idea of the yes and, I can't remember who said that, but yes and, being willing to say yes to that one thing you're asked to do, and then think of something else you can do with that. So I wouldn't decline opportunities to do more, to learn more, and do more.
Yeah, same. I was a basketball player because I'm so tall. And I was also in music, played the cello. But just having, honestly, any after-school programs, anything that's going to make you more well-rounded, anything that's going to make you experience other people as often as possible. Don't keep yourself in a bubble. Be willing to join those groups, even if you're unsure if it's something you'll enjoy. The worst they can do is kick you out. But if you're nice, they probably won't. But yeah, anything that you find interesting, I would be involved in.
Great. Yeah, just to add to that, sports, anything that is outside of what you usually do. And basically, the goal is to connect with as many people as possible and learn from as many experiences as possible. So anything that gets you both of those, I would just say, go ahead.
I would say, go outside of your comfort zone. This is the time to, pick something that maybe you're not very good at, and learn from people who are good at it. Like I could have benefited from joining
Mathletes.
the mathletes,
Yeah.
or joining a musical instrument, but I didn't. I felt like I played football, I studied, that was my life. I didn't look to expand beyond that. I honestly feel like there's a lot of room for opportunity there. So
But he's
do
still
something.
successful, so it's okay.
So So yeah, so you really want to, you really want to step outside of your comfort zone, because now is the time to do it. There's virtually no cost to you to stepping outside of your comfort zone.
And you have plenty of time.
Yeah.
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 So one other thing that I would like to add to what all the other people were saying was to just, talk to people, people to see what kind of opportunities are out there. Like what BJ was saying before, he didn't have any idea about the world of finance when you were in high school. And because, we're not necessarily exposed to that type of stuff as a high school student. And similar to what Cassie was saying, like internships, it doesn't have to be an internship, but just go talk to some other adults and try to get a feel of the day-to-day of their lives, like your friend's parent or someone else in your community. And just to see like what you can do with a degree in science or a degree in math or technology, engineering, or art. Because there's so much more that is out there than you necessarily think of as a high school student.
Yeah. So what's great now for you guys is that you have the internet. When I was in high school, it didn't exist. I'm that old. So you guys get to explore on social media and on the internet and check a lot of things out. Don't be afraid to check things out. Just like BJ was saying, like stepping out of your comfort zone, and don't talk yourself out of it. Like you do not have to have a certain number of cool points to get into whatever you're trying to go into. I know for me in college, I wanted to join a sorority, and I talked myself out of going to Brush and the interest group meetings and things like that for several years, and I didn't join until my junior year, my third year of college, and it's one of the most fulfilling things that I have done in my entire life, and I was just afraid that people wouldn't think I was cool enough to be in a sorority. So don't talk yourself
Hard
out
disagree.
of it. Well, thanks.
By the way.
But I was a lot quieter back then. They actually taught me how to talk and be more confident in myself. And that's the kind of thing that you get out of joining different opportunities that you may not see yourself as the right fit for. And also, like a lot of people have mentioned, thinking outside of the box, that STEAM isn't just robotics. STEAM isn't just chess club and math. Like it is arts, it is a lot of other things. And in terms of like sports, several people have mentioned sports. There is so much data analysis that goes into sports nowadays. If you watch some shows like Hard Knocks and things like that, which is about football, you can see how much the coaches are actually using software and technology to analyze the success rates of different plays and things like that. So you just never know. You never know, just like BJ was saying, just like many of us have mentioned, the direction that things are going to head into and fields that are going to open up that connect to your true passions that incorporate STEAM career paths. Okay, so last question from my bunch, and then we'll get back to your questions. How has diversity in your field changed over time, and how can students help promote inclusivity? And that's for everyone.
I know in my field, and it's kind of marketing technology and that kind of stuff, it used to be male-dominated. So the marketing field is not male-dominated anymore, but also in the technology space, it's no longer male-dominated. There might be a majority, but barely. And so there's a lot of shift there, and I think promoting that is really just the idea that so many people can do so many different things. Just because you were brought up one way doesn't mean you have to do one certain thing. I know for many of us, our parents wanted us to be a doctor or something like that, and most of us here aren't doctors. So I think the idea you're a doctor. But the idea that you don't have to be something because the culture says you should be that way, or because your family says that thing. So I think the idea that you don't have to fit into some kind of mold, and just having that constant conversation, and then being willing to highlight people who don't fit the common mold or common picture of those professions is a huge part of it.
I think in my field, especially in graphic design, the internet has been such a huge asset just for communication, because before the internet existed, we could only pull from what was in front of our face or inspiration and see what we were surrounded by. We were in a bubble. And so now that we have the opportunity to communicate with other cultures globally, you can draw inspiration from so many other places. And that has really advanced design because there's no innovation without diversity. And I think that it's really helped design move forward so that it can communicate the right message to the right people because it has so many more perspectives coming in nowadays.
What was the question? It was about diversity, right?
Yeah, how has diversity
So,
in your field changed over time, and how can students help promote inclusivity?
I personally feel it was usually male dominated, but the NASA, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but the NASA center in Houston was named after a woman. And she was actually primarily responsible for writing all the code that made people land on the moon. So it is actually curiosity, you know, going out and learning, and it is shifting now. I would say it is almost like it's like the same, like men and women and everything. But yeah, there's more things to be done in the field, and I'm sure it will get there someday.
You know, I would say that at the end of the day, you know, having a novel perspective and having you know, smart solutions to either sticky problems or problems that people don't want to solve will always get you a foot in the door. And to get accepted into the room, I would say, you know, we're human beings. It's easy to look at them and say those are them and these are us. But finding the you and them tends to be a more powerful message. And I think that promoting diversity and inclusivity, I just think has more to do with finding what makes us the same, what gets us all excited, what makes us all passionate about either, you know, why we're all in this room or why we all follow a particular passion or why we're all in a particular field. You know, prioritizing the things that tie us together, I think, is the most important message I picked up from my time in college, because I never looked like everyone else that picked the field that I picked, but I always brought the same excitement, the same passion, the same willingness to learn, and that's what everyone gravitated towards, and those are people that helped me find so much success in my career. So I've seen that to work in my life, and I'd encourage it for everybody else.
Yeah. And yeah, you know, in science, one of the big jokes is that it was all done by a bunch of old white guys. And historically, those are the more famous ones. But some modern science in today, it's much more diverse, much more inclusive. My PhD advisor was a South Indian woman. And, you know, I learned so much from her. And kind of like what BJ was saying, it's not just the cultural inclusion, but also like the diversity of perspective and background that gives a new and novel way to look at things, a new, different way to approach problems that are different than, you know, what a monolithic culture might do. And so I think definitely having a diversity of cultures and backgrounds helps people get more involved, but also brings perspective that ultimately betters the field.
And to add on that, for what students can do, I think honestly just being open-minded and listen and be kind. It's Jonathan's message of the day because he's a good person. And kindness goes so far, guys. It goes so far, and it's not hard at all. It's really easy to be nice to people and to listen and to respect other perspectives and to integrate those into your own life.
That's really great advice. Okay, we're going to switch over to some of the questions from the audience. How can I get more experience with STEAM projects like robotics?
There are a lot of school competitions that I built a small RC robot and basically, you know, going to these like school competitions and making them run against a different competitor's RC car or something of that sort would really help. So going to your university projects. Like MIT has a lot of projects that they run every month and every year that you can sign up for and build and give your proposals. So that would be a good start.
Yeah, and this is again where the internet comes into play. If it's not at your local school, like we were just talking about diversity. I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Appalachia, and so we didn't have a lot of opportunities. But look at the internet and see what's out there, because sometimes you might be able to like hop onto an opportunity that's outside of your immediate area, and resources like your school and your like maybe a local college might help with whatever project that you want to do. So like Cassie said, be a little push for your ideas even if the opportunity isn't right in front of you. All right, next question. What are some tips to get STEAM jobs before college or even in high school?
Talk to people. Talk to your parents or your friends' parents. Talk to, if you have a job anywhere, talk to your customers. If you're in retail, if you're in food service, talk to your customers. See, it's really at that level, I feel like more about who you know. Talk to your professors in college so that you can get their insight. There is value in talking to experts or talking to people that have more wisdom or more experience than you do. And I think that that's really going to be the driving force. I mean, you can always do job searches online, but there's going to be 300 applicants. I don't want to discourage you, but talking to people is going to make a big difference.
I'm going to piggyback off of what Cassie said. One thing that I love that people do is they reach out to me on LinkedIn for informational interviews. I've had several college students do that over the year. In fact, in a couple of weeks, I have an informational interview with someone coming soon. So I just want to encourage you guys to take it into your control and know that you can be a little bit more proactive with reaching out for those opportunities. Well, thank you guys so much for your attention. This has been a great session, and a huge thank you to our panelists for dropping some knowledge and giving us behind the scenes look at the world of STEAM. Your stories and advice remind us that the future is full of possibilities and it's ours to create. And to everyone tuning in, whether you're building your first robot, designing your dream app, or just figuring out what sparks your curiosity, keep going. Every step gets you closer to discovering your path. Before we wrap up, here's your homework. Stay curious, ask questions, and don't be afraid to try something new. The world of STEAM is waiting for you. Thanks again for joining us, and now go out there and make some waves.